friends. So this is our first video lecture. Welcome to the presentation. So we will be studying here some common graphs, charts and diagram, which is used for representing different data that we encounter in business and in business research. So let us look at them one by one and then also see how these graphs can be produced in Microsoft Excel. Before we go to actually details about the graphs and charts, let us learn very basic things which probably all of you know, that graphs and charts are visual representation of some numerical information. When we have some data and we want to start analysis on the data to find out some meaningful information, the first and foremost thing that we should do is to get produce some graphs related to this data, because these graphs helps us to communicate the data and understand the data better. It also draws our attention towards some specific points of data in the entire set of data that we have. In a large pool of data, which is generally produced before us in tabular form, let us presume that we get the raw data, which might be in written form in different formats. Then we tabulate it. That is the first step of actually data cleaning. We tabulate it. We take it in some spreadsheets like Excel, get it converted into similar units, etc. And then we get a data set which is analyzable. Now, before going to direct analysis, the first step that we should do is that we draw reasonable graphs, which are actually can be considered as a true pictorial representation of the numerical values, and that will help us to understand the data better. It will actually draw our attention towards some specific points which might be quite different from others. This also helps us to understand what happens on an average, and then we go forward to visualize this data. Now, data visualization has become a very integral part of modern day research. You must have heard a word called as data mining. That means data mining means that earlier data was sparse. We could not have much of the data. Means getting data was definitely a uphill task. These days it is not so much because data is just flowing in. There are a lot of devices with the help of which we can electronically store and manage data. We can retrieve the data, we can save the data. So storage is not an issue, retrieving the data is not an issue, and electronic collection of data is also there. Whenever we log in into some website, we actually produce a lot of data. Organizations can actually pick up the time for which we are there in that particular website, the places where we click. They can also find out our area of interest. When you log into some search engines like Google, you will find that before you start searching, some things comes to your screen to which you generally are most accustomed to. That means things which we search more frequently comes appearing on the screen. That means someone is keeping a track on what we are doing, and maybe a machine, but that machine knows what is to be shown. You must have seen that when you go visit YouTube, those videos which you oftenly watch, those type of videos, similar type of videos come appearing in the screen. This is because someone has digged into a data, they have found out your area of interest, and accordingly producing things which you like most. So this is what actually data mining is doing. For data mining, a very integral part is data visualization. Now, for visualizing the data, there are different softwares available in the market. For handling data, simple tools like Microsoft Excel or Graph is there for doing some graphs, producing some graphs, but these are not technically statistical software. You can do some statistical analysis in both Graph and Microsoft Excel, but you cannot consider them as statistical software. Statistical packages comprises of software like Statistica, SPSS, CSTAT. These are core statistical software built for handling large scale data and do analysis on that. And these days some codable languages are also available, and they are generally available in the free domain, which you can download for free and do the analysis, where several other softwares are very highly priced. So they comprises of language like R or SAS or Python. So these are some codable languages which are available for free. SAS is not, R and Python are. So free. So we can have, this is a basic idea that we have taken about what is graph, where from we can draw the graphs and what is the purpose of graphs, because we have been studying it from our school days. But then what is the need of studying it once again in this? Anyways, so coming back to this, let us look at some very common types of graph that we generally encounter. First of them is definitely the bar diagram. In bar diagram, there are some categories and there are frequencies along those categories. Against those categories, there are some frequencies of numbers. So we want to compare to those categories based on the numbers. So accordingly, we produce some graphs which look similar to the icon, as you can see in the left extreme right of the screen. There is an icon. So those type of graphs we can actually produce in through a bar diagram. Sometimes what happens is that this type of icons are, sorry, this type of bar diagrams are actually in the form of, uh, we can consider subcategories also within a particular category. So that is also possible. And we can also see how a particular amount is getting subdivided into different subgroups. So we can have different ways in which we can compare them, compare the subgroups, compare the groups, compare the components of the different groups, etc. We can actually go ahead and do this. So this is the basic purpose of doing this, drawing the bar diagram. Then comes line diagram. Line diagram generally has two axes. One is the x-axis and the y-axis. Along the x-axis, we take one variable. Along the y-axis, we take another variable. And then we connect the points that we obtain by plotting the values of y for different values of x by a line. So that is called as the line diagram. We can have multiple line diagram in the same graph, provided they have similar type of x values. So that will make the things comparable also. Next come another simple type of diagram which is called as the pie diagram. The pie diagram, we have a total value which is divided into certain components. For example, in your home, you make an expenditure. Now, if you want to see at the end of the month that where you made the expenditure under which head. So you may divide your total expenditure into some heads, like one head might be food, another head might be fuel and lighting, another head might be transportation, another head might be education, another head might be purchase and maintenance of house and furniture. So this way you have different types of heads, and then you find out at the end of the month how much you spent over the different heads. Now, if you want to compare how much was your expenditure in the different heads of expenditure or subcategories of expenditure, you can draw a pie diagram. That pie diagram will show you how your total component or total expenditure is divided into the subcategories. What proportion of subcategories is being consumed by the different, what proportion of the expenditure is being consumed by the different subcategories. So here we can make a comparison between them. Another diagram is called as the scatter diagram. The scatter diagram is actually the values of x and y. We have the values we are having in pairs. For each value of x, we have a value of y. Like the data is form of a large number of values, say 10, 20 values, and then we plot them taking x along the x-axis and y along the y-axis. Then we plot them in the form of dots, and hence we have whatever you see in the right side, last column in the extreme right, you see the last row in the extreme right, you will find that these values are there. So this is called as the scatter diagram. So this is what scatter diagram does. Now, before we go and learn the details about the different types of graphs, let us understand that what are the accessories that are associated with the different graphs. Now, once we know this, then it will be easier for understand to communicate, because graphs actually come with several terminologies, which is common to all the different types of graphs, almost common. So basically, let us learn them one by one. So you see, this is a graph. Here you can see this is this side is the x-axis. So here in the x-axis we are having here. This side we have the y-axis. So y-axis are representing the number of companies. So these are numbers, and these are different year 1995, 1996, and these are total number of companies, and this number of company doing this research and development. So you see there is a huge gap between companies and companies with research and development, and Over the years, you see number of companies are initially increasing, then we have a little decrease here. But the number of companies actually who are in R&D, these are almost constant. They have not changed. Anyways, so this is not our concern. We want to know the different steps or the not, we want to know the different accessories associated with that. So let us erase these marks so that we can get a clear picture. Okay. Now this is the things. Now let us see what are all these accessories that are associated with the graph. Well, first we have this is called as the axis title. Since it is in the y-axis, so it is called as the y-axis title. This gives a very short description about what is represented along the y-axis. Now, next one, as you can see here, this is the y-axis itself. I am speaking about the marks because you will see that after a continuous interval from y-axis, some marks are standing out. Now, these marks which are standing out, they are called as tick marks. So, you may look at the spelling, it's not T-I-C-K, but these are called T-I-C, tick marks. So, they are actually landmarks of y-axis at different points, and the values represented are sometimes written along the y-axis also, so that you can identify where is 9,000, where is 10,000, so on. Next come up, you see there is a value written over the for this particular bar. Now actually we need to have values about all the bars, but it might look clumsy, so we have written value only over one of the bars. So what is that value? 5,384. So this particular blue rectangle starts from the zero baseline and come to a level where there are 5,384 values. This is called as the data level. This is called as the data level. So you may look at the spelling of level. It's not level, rather it's level. Level is a description. So here it describes the data. It describes the how much data is represented by that particular bar. Then you look at these lines. These are called as the grid lines. These are the grid lines that comes out from y-axis. Similarly, grid lines we can have also from x-axis. Now, these grid lines actually means helps us to understand from which value to which value and which line is representing what value. So these are actually the grid lines. Then coming up the next, this is the title of the graph. This is called as the graph title. So this is the title of the graph. This gives about overall what the graph is representing. Otherwise, you may get an x-axis, y-axis, but you might not be understand the purpose of the graph. Here you see number of Indian companies with research and development. So you get an idea that here Indian companies having research development across different years will be shown. Okay, so this is one. Next is this part where I have given that what blue rectangle is representing and what red rectangles are representing. So I am telling that the blue rectangle is representing number of companies and the red rectangle is representing number of companies who are doing research and development. Now this is called as the legend of the graph, and this is legend gives actually description about what colors are used for representing different parts of the graph. Or symbols or colors that are used. Now here you see if we have only companies, you don't have company with R&D, that means only blue rectangles. Then you might not put this legend because it is at that time returned and what extra information it gives because it is representing only one type of value. But since we are representing two types of value, so we need to give a description on what these different colors are representing. So this is called as the legend. After legend comes about the source of the data. Now, whenever you draw a graph in a business publication or otherwise, you need to give the source of the data because otherwise anyone may challenge you that where from you get the data. So source should be at hand. And this is actually an answer to the challenge that where is the source of data. In addition to that, it makes the observer aware that what such a type of data is available, and you may doubt that whether the data is fake, then you can check the source and see whether the data is correct or it has been manipulated. So it is important to give the source of the data. And lastly, we have here, you see the y-axis title. Oh, sorry, x-axis title. So y-axis title we started with and we have x-axis title. I think there will be another value, yes, which represents the different levels of values in the y-axis. So these are called as scale figures. So they actually supplement you to understand from where the data starts and to where the data ends. Similarly, for y-axis also, these are called as scale figures. Like you see 0, 1000, 2000, these are landmark values. So these are called as scale figures. So these basically describes a graph. Once you know all these things, all these terminologies, and once you know the purpose of these terminologies, things become easier for you to understand why these graphs are drawn and what these graphs represent. Now, this terminology like legend, y-axis title, x-axis title, tick marks, data labels, grid lines, these remain same throughout all different types of graphs. We'll see in due course of time, without some exception, definitely. But these are general terms. Okay, now let us go to the bar diagram. Now, bar diagram is a group of equidistant rectangles having same width with a common baseline. Each bar is representing the value under a particular category. So there are different categories. The categories are represented along the y-axis, sorry, x-axis, as you can see, and the values corresponding to the categories. It may be price, it may be number, it may be count, etc. are represented along the y-axis. So these are the values which comes up uh, along the y-axis. So that's why you see y-axis, we have the scale values are there, and along the x-axis we have the uh, different here we have different types of funds. Like these are external trade funds, some of the external trade funds, and this is the price per unit in the other column. Here you can see the price per unit. So this is the price per unit, and these are the name of some trade funds. These name of the trade funds are actually reflecting here, as you can see. And these values, for example, Nifty 50 is having 261.74, so this is 261.7. The length of the rectangle is proportional to the value here. So smaller the value, smaller will be the rectangle, larger the value, larger will be the rectangle. At the top of each of the rectangles, which we call as bar, we actually write the values of the corresponding funds. So this actually gives you a description about the particular rectangle. So this is called as the price per unit we have here. And we have written the y-axis title. This is our x-axis title. These are the name of the different categories which we may call as x-axis scale values, and these are the y-axis scale values. So we have all the values written here. This is the title of the graph. So this is basically how the graph looks like. Now we can go over to Excel and draw this graph and see that how this graph is actually produced. Okay. Now let us move to Excel. So we have Excel here. As you can see that we have bar diagram. We have already typed the data before. So what we do once we want to draw this graph, first we select this graph, select these values. Then we go to insert menu, and under insert menu, you will have sub menu where they are showing you different types of graphs. You should know that what types of graph is recommended for this, that you should know. In case you don't know that, you may click on recommended chart and they will give you some recommended values. So this is a type of this. Okay, this is actually horizontal, this is vertical, this is the one which we have drawn. So in case you don't have any idea about that these data, which graph should be appropriate for this data, then you can click in recommended charts. Now this might not be available if your Excel version or MS Office version is old, 2013 or earlier, then you might not find this. But 2013 onwards, I think most of the Excel versions have this option of recommended chart. Other than that, I know that I want to draw the bar diagram, so I click here and then different options come. So don't use these 3D diagrams. 3D diagrams, they are called as column chart. They create unnecessarily a shaded portion which actually distorts your data. So I go with this. So I have this. So you see now the graph has taken its color by default and also axis value by default. Now you don't see a clear x-axis, you don't see a clear y-axis, and you don't see a x-axis level, you don't see a y-axis level. So let us manipulate this and change this. First, let me change the name. So what was the name of the graph? Price per unit of different ETF. So actually we come here, we price per unit. Let me write the complete spelling like price per unit for different ETF. Well, ETFs. Price per unit of different ETFs. Okay, we have this. Now you see, these are in gray color, so it doesn't look nice. Let us make it black. So we come to home screen, we go to text, we make it black. But before that, you need to click here and go. And if you think that, okay, this, let us make it bold, you can here change it. You can change the font size, font color, etc. Okay. You click this once again. Now you click this. So you see the axis values get selected, make it black, make it, if you want to change it to bold, you can make it bold. And so this is the thing that is done. Okay. Now price per unit also you might be wanting to make it, well, let me make it black instead of gray. So it looks nice, nice now. Now color, suppose you want to change the color, you are not satisfied with this blue, rather you want the royal blue. So you click on that, you see all the rectangles have got selected. Now you come here, fill color option is there. There you go with this. So you see this black values have come. Now you want an x-axis clearly denoted, and so is the y-axis. So you double click in this x-axis. So here you see one axis, format axis option will appear. Here you click on this, which is called as fill and line. The first one, fill and line. So you want a line here, clear line. So you click on the line. It shows you the color of the line is gray, make it black. So select black, so it becomes black, and its width is showing 0.75. Take it to 1.5. 1.5. So that will make a very nice line, as you can see here. As you can see here, now you see a very nice x-axis. Similarly, if you want y-axis, you just click here, go to this fill and line option. Under line, you change the color to black and make the line as thick as 1.5. So you get the line here. So, okay. Now, well, this looks little bit not so visible now. So, okay, let us make this. Okay, now this is fine. Now, what more you want? You want an x-axis title, you want an y-axis title. So, what you do is that you right click here and then you go here, insert. Insert, there is an option, axis title, second one. So, you click on axis title, you see it gives you a default axis title, which is written axis title. So if you think that, okay, it is understood that these are different ETFs, different trade funds, so you may actually ignore this, you may delete this. You don't want the x-axis title. Okay, so x-axis title is gone, y-axis title is there, but you want to change the name. You want to price per unit in rupees. So you make it, edit it, price per unit in rupees. So you see, rupees. So you see this is written, but the thing is that you have not changed the color. So it does not look like. So you click here and then you click on A. So well, this is this. If you want that, okay, I want to make it black, bold, then you may click here, it will become bold. So this is almost done. If you don't want the grid lines, that grid line seems to be unnecessary. You just click on the grid line. You see all the grid lines are getting selected. At that time, press delete. Don't press the delete before all the lines are selected. Sometimes you click, the photograph gets selected. So then you press delete, then the entire photograph will be gone. Okay. Now one thing left is just to add the values, because so that we can understand what it represents. So what I do, I click on this plus at the side of the graph, and then there are data labels. So data labels. So I click on data labels. As soon as I do that, I find that the values. If you want to change the color, you just click on them. All of them get selected and make it black. Now your photograph is ready. And now you can take it to some other applications. You may click here and then copy. You can copy it. But when you paste it, it's pasted as a photograph. For example, if I paste it here, well, I can do this, but paste as a photograph. So you see, now it is come as the photograph. You cannot edit this, but you can edit this. This one you can edit because this is connected to the data. This is not connected to the data. So this is just a photograph. No editing can be done. Editing can be done, then you have to take the help of Photoshop and other things where you can edit photographs. But this has now become a photograph. Once you are satisfied with the type of graph, it is better to take it as a photograph, paste it in your report or PowerPoint presentation, so that unnecessarily clicking will not disturb. Or suppose you have taken this data to a particular, you would take it in an image. Say, what is the thing? Many a times I saw a very interesting incident. That one student, she was presenting some thing in a where she has drawn a graph. Now she has drawn the graph in the computer in her Excel. She has copied the graph and pasted it in PowerPoint. After that, she saved the PowerPoint in her pen drive, and then she went for the presentation next day to the some seminar hall. Seminar hall, she has connected the pen drive. Now, when that particular graph came, that particular slide with the graph was not there, because when I just take this data, say I take this graph, sorry, I take this graph, say Control C, I take this graph, say I have a new slide, say let me have a new slide here, new slide. Okay. Now I delete this and I paste my graph. So my graph gets pasted. Now this graph is basically connected to the data set. For example, say this will mid cap 21.42. Now you see one magic. Now mid cap 21.42. Suppose I made it 210. You see the changes. As soon as I press enter, this value also become 2010, because this graph is connected to this table. But this change does not take place in the picture. Picture does not become 210 because I have saved this as a picture here, but I have saved this as a graph here. So you see the change in that file has made change in this file. So this is the PowerPoint where I have pasted it, but it is connected to the data set. So any change in the data set will make changes here. Now if the data set goes missing, this graph will not be produced. If I delete the Excel file, this graph will not exist anymore. Though it is in a different application. This is sometimes a beauty. Sometimes this is actually very demoralizing. That means you prepare a presentation, everything is perfect. You want to produce the graph during the presentation. In the presentation, everything comes black. You are clueless. You are unable to understand why this is happening. Because you had copied the graph yesterday very correctly and have placed it. Now let me tell you, my friends, what is happening here. Here actually the graphs are connected to the data set. If the data set goes missing, the graph will not be produced. If I delete this data set, say for example I delete this data set, you will see that graph is not there. It does not have any value at all. X-axis, Y-axis, all the things are there, but the graph is not there. That is what happened to that girl. So what is the solution to that? One solution is that you just take it as a photograph like this, and then you paste it here. Let us show you one thing. Now here I delete the data. I delete the data. Graph is not there. Even x-axis labels are also not there, because company names also I have deleted. Come to PowerPoint. You see the graph is not there as well, because they are connected. Now if you go to the presentation without watching this video, then your presentation is doomed. How you can recover from here? Okay, let us have this data. So okay, now you go to PowerPoint, you will find that your graph is there, very much there. Okay. Now for that you can do is that you take the photograph, say I copy this, Control C, I copy this graph, and then I come to PowerPoint, delete the previous one, and now delete this. Well, it is not even getting deleted. Okay, okay, fine. And then paste it as a photograph. So this is a picture. Now you see what happens. This is not connected to the graph. This is come as a picture. Now if you go here, you come here, you delete the data, or you say you delete the values here. Interestingly, delete. You find that, well, the name of the funds are there, but the graph is not there because they are not having any values. But in PowerPoint, if you come back, you can see the graph is there because you have pasted them as a photograph. So that's why I'm telling that this feature of means MS Office, that the components like MS Excel is connected to MS Word, can be connected to PowerPoint, etc. This is sometimes good, that if you are presenting with your laptop, you just make the graph somewhere and you show it from somewhere else. If some values are getting changing, suppose dynamic graphs tomorrow morning market opens different price. So I just update my Excel file in such a way that the tomorrow's morning values comes displayed in Excel file. Automatically graphs will change. This is an advantage also sometimes, but sometimes it might be very difficult. Like I have already given an example. Anyways, so let me delete this particular slide. Delete slide. Okay. Oh, and then I come back here. So this is how I Control Z. Let me have these values. Let me have the graph. So this is how this bar diagram is being drawn. Next, friend, let us look at multiple bar diagram. This is also called as group bar diagram. Here it's like a bar diagram only, but here along with some values being represented by categories, there are practically two values representing a category, and we want to compare these two values as well. That means in each category we have multiple number of subcategories, and we want to compare each of them. So here is an example with two of them. So this is once again equidistant. You will find that one particular group. This is the ETF, that is one particular category. These are the two subcategories. This is one subcategory. This is another subcategory. These subcategory and will always appear together with a little bit gap in between them. And then the next particular category will be equidistant from this. These will have same distance as that of this, and these will have same distance as that of this. So they are at equidistant points, categories. Subcategories also equidistant to each other. This small gap is there. But subcategories will come closer to each other so that we can have a close look and compare them. Now here, this is an example with two subcategories. You can have more than two also. In that case, we will add up another column here. If you have more than two, like three or four, then another column here like this. So here you see these are some funds. So 1, 2, 3, 4 funds are there, which actually we had earlier price for at one particular date. Now we have price per unit for two particular dates. One is in 7th of August, another is in 26th of August, and we want to compare them back to back. So this is represented by a multiple bar diagram. Here, obviously, the height of the bar represent the values of the category variable or the under that particular subcategory. Now these gets represented as these value labels come. You may use different colors for the value labels so that you can differentiate between the two. So generally, the text value label for a particular bar will have the same color as that of itself. Now here is the legend of this. The green, sorry, the blue one is representing 7th of August, and the orange one or saffron one is representing 26th August. So these are the values of the funds. Orange one are the values of the funds on 26th August, and blue one are the values of the funds on 7th of August. So this is how a multiple bar diagram is represented. Now we now come over to Excel. We have already the data typed in. So let us see how we can use these to draw the multiple bar diagram. So for that we actually get an expanded view of here. We can expand it a little bit so that we can have a better view. Okay, now fine. Now we first select this entire data set, and then we go to insert. Under insert menu, we may go for recommended charts, but if you are sure that you are want to do multiple bar diagram or the means and if you are sure what you are going to do, then you just click and your data supports that. That is another important thing, that not only being sure, your data should support this. So you can have it like this. So we have it here. Now, as in the previous case, we may change the chart title, we may change this text color, we may change the font size, etc. And we may introduce the x-axis and y-axis. X-axis is quite clear. It is the name of the different fonts, but we can have a y-axis title to make it clear. We can change the color by clicking on this and then going to this one here. From here also we can change the color. Like we want to make it dark, then we want to go with this, or otherwise we just go home, and then home we see this is already selected. Orange rectangles are selected, so I may go here and I may get it red, or I may get it a different orange color like this. And then we click on the blue one, and then we come to home page. Home page, there is an option here to fill the colors. There we can have this. So this way also you can change the color. So this is how we can draw this particular diagram in Microsoft Excel. I am not showing you how to take this to other programs like Word or PowerPoint, because this is same as what we have seen during a simple bar diagram. Now let us look at a subdivided bar diagram. The other names for subdivided bar diagram is a stacked bar diagram, which is a name used in SPSS software, or we can also call this a component bar diagram. Now what happens here? Here we actually want to compare total values under two or more number of categories. That is, in multiple categories we want to compare the total values. In addition to that, we also want to compare the components. Now components can be compared across the categories, or component can be seen within a particular category, that what are the components that belongs to different subcategories. So the subcategory under a category can also be compared, and subcategories under different categories can also be compared. So here we have population in millions of two countries. One is India and another is China. And you know, India and China are the most populous country of the world. And now India is having more population than China. So you see, this data I have collected from multiple websites. And then we are actually looking at below 15 age group, 15 to 64 age group, and 65 and above age group. Now, why below 15? Because these are the people who are generally children. They don't actually directly contribute towards the workforce. Generally, they should not. But in some places, we see child labor, etc. But keeping that's illegal. So these people do not contribute towards the workforce. 15 to 64. This is the age where people work. These are the people in the workforce. They do a lot of economic activity, and so then 65 and above. Now, if you compare from these two graphs, we have similar to bar diagram, only the height represents the value. More the height, proportionally higher is the value. So from the graph itself, instead of taking the total of Indian population and the Chinese population, from the graph itself, you can understand that India is having slightly more population than that of China. Now, India is divided into three parts, and as you can see in the legend below, here you can see at the bottom that there is a legend. This one. And in the legend, it is seen that the blue rectangle is actually representing below 15 age. And this orange part is representing that 15 to 64. And this gray part is representing 65 and above. And if you look at China's population, China is having a huge senior population. So these people are senior. They had their own time, but currently they are not directly contributing towards economic activities. That directly they are not in the workforce. And then this is the group of people who are young, and India is having a little bit more younger people than that of China. Proportionately, India is having more number of children, as you can see, compared to that of China. So these young people, subsequently, they will come and join this age group. So India will have a lot of people who are job seekers in future, compared to that of China. So China is having less number of children. They are having more number of senior people. In India, the situation is reversed. They are having more young people and means very young people, children, and less number of senior people. Now, whether this is good, bad, what will be the consequences in future, that any demographer can tell you. But that also subject to debate and discussion. So this is how a multiple bar diagram acts. Now, if I have another country, say I have another country which I want to compare, then I can have another such bar which will be divided into its components. Now, sometimes there is a difficulty that I may want to compare a small country with a large country. Population is very much different. Obviously, a large country is having a higher population. Say you want to compare the population of India with the population of Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lanka is a very small country, but I don't know where the population density is more. Maybe Sri Lanka is having a higher population density than India. I am not sure about that. But we cannot compare it through a bar diagram, component bar diagram or subdivided bar diagram, because in aggregate, India will have a huge population compared to Sri Lanka. In this case, what happens, even then, if you want to compare, no, I want to compare the population across different age groups, not in numerical terms. In that case, you need to convert the data into percentage and then draw the bar diagram. Then this bar diagram, subdivided bar diagram, after converting data in percentage. In that case, what happens? I can compare in which country proportionately there are more number of young people, more number of senior people in proportion. So that we can do. For that, we need to convert the data into percentage. So that way we can compare two particular categories which are having varying in terms of their aggregate, that is total, but then components cannot be compared. Yes, they can be compared with the help of subdivided bar diagram, but in that case, the need of the hour is to convert the data into percentage. Now let us move into Excel and see how we can draw this particular diagram in Excel. So let's go over to Excel. So now we are in Excel. We just want to see how we can represent this by subdivided bar diagram. So what we do is that we first select these two. I think the age group has been hidden. Let us bring it out. Yeah. So we select all these age groups and then countries and the data set. And then we go to data view, and in data, we go to insert, and in insert we go to these charts. And the charts come, here is the your subdivided bar diagram. Okay, so we actually go with the subdivided bar diagram, but then you see there is a, it is showing the compare the population as per age group. So if you want to change it, then what happens? We right click there and then we go to change chart type. So we go to change chart type. So it shows us both the options. One, it is showing that three means three age groups classified by countries. So that is not much of our use because we want to directly compare the India and China population in terms of different components, that is different age groups. So I go on with this. So and then I click on OK. So I select this and click on OK. And now India and China has appeared. So this way you can actually go to this. Other things, let me show you other things you already know. But if you want to get the data levels, you just click here in plus and there is an option data levels. So you have data levels there, so you get the data. Now if you want to change that, no, this is not very much visible, now I want to change it. So you can change it, just click it, go to home, you have convert it to blue, black, sorry, increase the font size, and then, well, okay, you can do it with bold. I think it's already bold now. So this one here, you see, you can have it like black, bold, and then change it to a higher font size, say 11. Okay. Now here you see this is already blue. Black will not create a good contrast. So you may go with white. So white and then, well, bold and then this. So this makes a better visual impact. So this is just common sense. And if you think that if it is royal blue, then the contrast will be more, then just click on it. And then here is fill button already you have. So partially you can change the fill of a particular block. So now you change the title axis, etc. Make this black text. Okay, that will be making things more vivid. And so this is the legend. So blue is representing below 15, orange is representing 15 to 64, and gray is representing above 65. So this is about India, this is about China. So this is how you can draw the multiple bar, sorry, subdivided bar diagram in Microsoft. Now let us look at line diagram. In line diagram, we have one particular variable which is representing along the x-axis, and the value of another variable which is represented along the y-axis. For different values of x, we plot the corresponding values of y and then connect them by a straight line, one from one point to another point like this. So ultimately the straight line may be a combination of several line segments. For example, here we have year. Generally, year is represented along the x-axis. As you can see in this particular graph, we have India's total trade with Malaysia and Myanmar for several years. So these are the India's total trade with Malaysia. This is measured in lakhs of rupees, and this is the trade that India is doing with Myanmar. So what happens? The details is written here. Along X, we take the time. So this is the year. In line diagram, mostly along the x-axis, we take time, but not necessarily always we take time. We may have some other variable also. So these are the time points. Corresponding to the time points, we first plot Malaysia. So this is Malaysia, 8353250. So we have placed here 8353 first point. Okay. Then we have the second point like this one, 99493, this value. So this value, first value we have plotted here, second value we have plotted here, third one is 9181, this value. This is corresponding 2017-18. So 2017-18 we plot here. Then 2018-19 we have this value. So 2018-19 I plot here like this. So we plot this point and then connect this point by straight line. So straight line means one point to another, then from this point to that, like this we connect them and then we get this straight line. This is a means combination of line segments. So this is one line diagram. Similarly, we draw for Myanmar. So actually you see Myanmar I have drawn in the same way because we have values corresponding to the same year. That's why the starting point of Myanmar and the starting point of Malaysia are same, and so are the ending points. Sometimes we may not have values corresponding to some years for a particular country. In that case, we will have the line segments may not align vertically so far as the starting and ending points are concerned. but generally those are plotted together, which can be comparable across the timeline. So we get this. So and then if you want to compare them, you find that Malaysia is quite ahead of Myanmar in all the years. That means India is not having a good trade with Myanmar than what they are having with Malaysia. Now, Myanmar is actually an Indian neighboring country. Means through Manipur, if you want to have an access to the East Asian countries, then Myanmar is the only country through which we have land border. So there should be improvement in the business scenario between India and Myanmar. But as you know, that India is not having very good trade relations with Myanmar because of several reasons. So the trade has not flourished over the years. Otherwise, we should have been very close to Malaysia also. So this is how we can draw the diagram and make some comparisons. So this is about line diagram. Now let us see how we can use this line diagram, draw this line diagram in Microsoft Excel. Now let us draw this diagram in Excel. So this is how I have typed the data. You can type it vertically also, but then not necessary that always you need to have it horizontal. Anyway, so we have typed the data, we have selected the data, and then we have got to insert. And then you can also ask for a recommended chart, but we know that we want to draw the line diagram. So I click here, and then this is the line diagram. So this is the line diagram that has come. Now these are the years, and Malaysia is by the blue line, and Myanmar is by the orange line. So if you want, you can change the color. You can have a visible x-axis and a y-axis. You can have the x-axis title and y-axis title, everything as we have seen in previous cases. So if you want a little bit loud type of chart, then you may select from here. There are some options. From here, not so black. Well, you want to have a gray chart. Well, this some figures are not visible, so you may select them. You may go to home and you may change the color. So that way makes you, if you want to think that, okay, let me put it over the number, you just drag it out like this little bit. If you want to show that, okay, some points let me place below also. Some points let me place in the right side, top right. Some people below, some values below left, like this. So this way I can have all this arrangement. Okay. So similarly for this, but here you see x-axis, y-axis has gone missing. X-axis is vivid. You can have it, no issues. You can make a manipulation over the template that is given by x using. Okay, okay. I have. Can I have this? No. Yeah. No. Grid line, error bus, table, axis title. Access, no, that is not allowed. So trend line, ups and down bars. Okay, so that is not allowed. So it should be like this. So if you don't want to dislike the template, you may go with the whatever is available in the traditional way you draw instead of. Now, friends, let us look at a very common diagram. It's a pie diagram. Pie diagram is a two-dimensional diagram. It is a circle which is divided into different components. This is generally done if we want to show how the components are divided. But pie diagram is a standalone diagram. We generally don't draw two pie diagram to compare that how the thing was divided into different subcategories in one place or one family with that of the other. They generally stand alone. So if you want to show the total classified by the component parts so that you can see that how much is a particular component against the total, or if you want to compare between two components of a particular aggregate value, and then we use this type of diagram. So here you can see in this data we have measured in lakhs of rupees the trade that India, the export that India had with several Asian countries in 2021-22. These are all East Asian countries. So you see the amount is there. I don't need to read out this amount. So I want to represent it to find out by a graph so that I find out that which country India has very high volume of trade or export. Now the total circle is having 360-degree at the center. This 360-degree, in the same way as you compute percentage, the total of the trade made by India with all the countries, all the 10 countries are totaled out, and then it is expressed in terms of 360-degree. That out of this total, summation x is the total, and x is an individual component, then x by summation x into 360-degree. So suppose all these add up, all these values add up to say summation x. Let us call this summation x as s. And suppose Myanmar's total is x. Then what we have, x by summation x, or s by s, this s total of summation x multiplied by 360 degree, that will give you the amount of degrees corresponding to Myanmar. And then I take the help of protector if you want to draw it manually and find the place of Myanmar. So Myanmar, you see this orange rectangle here, Myanmar, this one, only this one. So this way I do it for all the others and get the particular segments or the pies. Now we come to Excel. So already we have the name of the countries and the values, that is the Indian exports in lakhs of rupees been typed over here. So based on that, we want to draw a pie diagram. We want to see which country, what is the component of export India has been doing. So we come to insert, and in insert we have different options. You can take a recommended chart, but then I know that I want to draw a pie diagram. Now there are see three-dimensional pies, so don't go with this. We will select this type of pie. So, but before that we need to select the data. So we select the data, then we come here and we select a pie diagram. As soon as we draw the pie diagram, we get this diagram. Now you may think that, well, I want a different title. Yes, definitely you can write India's export with Asian countries. So you can copy it from here also. Indian export from Asian countries in 2021-22. So you do this, and then you, what did they do is that you just copy it there. And so, okay, now you want to center it, just you click and drag and do all these things. So these are the things. Now if you want the values, because I want the values also, so here you just click here and then show data levels. So data levels, so the data levels is coming one after another. Here you actually, there are very small pies. So these segments are coming, 3 points coming out of this. Actually, these are very small. India is having very small amount of business with some countries like Laos, then well with 32, 32, yeah, Brunei, and then 10 Laos, and 148 Cambodia. So Brunei, Cambodia, and Laos, these three countries, India is having very meager amount of exports. However, with other countries like Thailand, then Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Indonesia, Vietnam, the extent is quite more, and this is Singapore. So this is very high. If you hover your mouse over the points, you can see the country also. So that will help you to understand which graph it is. So that way, but even then, if you want to take it to some other presentation, this will help you. Here you have the legend. So this legend will help you to understand which color is representing which country. If you are not satisfied with the color, you just can click on that and change the color. Suppose I want to change the color to orange. So I go here and then I select this. So you see the color changes. So this way you can change the color. So once you are done with all the changes, position of legend, etc., so you can just copy it and paste it as a photograph in your presentation. We have seen in that way we can do. Now coming back to this, next comes the uh, pictogram. Now, pictogram is actually a means the same thing can also be represented by a simple bar diagram. But sometimes pictograms are more in use because pictograms looks much beautiful. It actually you can select some pictures. Rather, more specifically, you can call it an icon corresponding to the different categories. Now, each category in this particular diagram has some numerical values in it. Generally, these are frequencies. Frequencies means count data. So let us take this example. Is very interesting. This is a University of Azeros. The University of Azeros is an university in Portugal. It's a quite popular and very famous university in Portugal. So this is University of Azeros. Now in there, the Department of Hindi has opened. And some people are actually, students have taken admission to learn Hindi language in those departments. And out of this, 50 students are from France, 60 are from Italy, 30 are from Spain, and 100 are from Germany, and 24 are from Portugal itself. So this is the number of students. Now I want to draw this pictogram. Now first I have to decide that which icon to use and how much one icon will represent. So it depends on the extent of the values that we have. Now the highest value is 100. So well, If you take 25 representing one human being, then it would not look nice because very few of them have that number. So I go with 10, so that reasonably good number. So in Germany, we'll have 10 into 10 equal to 100. So you'll find that there are 10 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. One is going out. Okay. So this way, Spain is having 30. So 1, 2, 3. And then Italy is having 60. So 6 people are there. 6. And then France is having 50. So 50. Now, 5 people are there. Now, Portugal, you see, it is having a fractional 25. So 20 whole, and last one is 20 plus 5 is 25. So the last individual is half of the individual we are having because it represents half of the number, that is 10, that is 5. So that's why we have half. So this way we can do fractional. So these are the categories. Here they are the countries, and these are their frequencies which are represented by some icons. So this is called as pictures. And this is quite popular. Unfortunately, Excel does not give you the opportunity of drawing these pictograms. But there are some online resources where you can choose the icon, you can give the value, what a particular individual icon represents, the number, like here it's 10, and then you can ask. Some online resources are available with the help of which you can draw the pictogram. Most of the statistical software and other spreadsheets do not have the opportunity of drawing histogram. But what comes to your savior is certain online resources. So you might take it up as a task of finding out what online resources are there with the help of which we can draw pictograms. Now, last but not the least, we come to cartograms. Cartogram is actually a map where different geographical locations have different values. And we want to show them in the map, and sometimes we use the color also in order to make them understand or varying. For example, here this is the GDP of different states of India, and the GDP is measured in US dollar, billion US dollar. And then we have a small legend also in the form of this, that if it is a yellow colored, then it is having this GDP more than $400 billion. And then other 300, then we have this color. And so the 200 and something which is 100 or less than 100 is blue color. So you see many blue colors there. Almost, and 10 Northeast is having blue colors. Only little better probably Assam, that also violet. So we understand that it is somewhere between 100 and 200, towards 100 only. Otherwise, colored would have become more pinkish. West Bengal is reasonably good amongst the eastern. And then best is definitely Maharashtra. They are having a very high uh, GDP. So this is how these cartograms are used for representing regional disparity or regional data. We take the help of maps too. Sometimes we may have bars and pies also within the state if we want to show something which is more than one dimension. That means here we are showing only one type of data, but if there are two or three types of variables which I want to show across the different states, then we can use something like a bar diagram imposed over a map. That means it is also a cartogram where you are showing some statistical figures, or means figures means numerical quantities, or graphs in regionally different places. So there might be some difficulty in doing that because some of the states you can see are very small. So having a simple bar diagram on those states might be very difficult, but there are ways in which actually you can zoom some part of the map and draw it separately. For example, the mainland of India in one graph, and then the northeastern states. So many states, but very small in size. So we can separate it and zoom it out and have the diagram. So these softwares are not available so much in support of drawing these cartograms, but there are some resources which actually support map diagrams. So you may search how to draw map diagrams online. Then you will get some of the websites that has the opportunity of inbuilt. Some maps are there classified by Indian states, and also beyond the India, world map is also there, Asian map is also there. So there are some online resources with the help of which you can draw the cartogram very nicely, but most of them are actually dealing with only one dimensional figure only through the use of color. Okay, so with this we have covered almost the basics of all the different types of graphs. simple types of graph that we encounter, but here also we have seen in this presentation how they can be drawn in Excel and how we can manipulate them, change the title, change the color, change the size, shape, etc. And most importantly, save this as a picture and take it to other applications.